Military forces around the world consider assault rifles indispensable, being essential for infantry units. However, during World War II, soldiers only had bolt-action rifles, light machine guns, and submachine guns. There was no intermediate cartridge or rifle that could balance the power of rifles with the smaller ammunition used by submachine guns. It was in this scenario of uncertainties and urgent needs that Hugo Schmeisser, the creator of the MP-18, brought about a revolutionary innovation. He developed a weapon that combined the high rate of fire of light machine guns, the power of bolt-action rifles, and the maneuverability of submachine guns, all in one piece of equipment, the STG-44. This rifle, named by Hitler as the Sturmgewehr or Assault Rifle 44, quickly stood out in military history. It was ideal for both close-quarters combat and long-range confrontations, marking the beginning of a new era in warfare. During World War I, artillery was responsible for over 60% of the casualties, followed by machine guns. With a lethal firing rate of 400 to 500 rounds per minute, machine guns could decimate entire regiments in a matter of minutes, especially when positioned in defensive lines. Imagine yourself on the battlefield, the incessant sound of explosions and gunfire all around you. The tension is palpable, your heart races. Suddenly, the enemy appears on the horizon, and the need for an effective and versatile weapon becomes crucial. It is in this context that the STG-44 comes into play, changing the course of battles and bringing new hope to the troops. Heavy machine guns fire the same cartridges as infantry rifles, but at a rate faster than an entire platoon could achieve. Bolt-action rifles were the standard for soldiers during the conflict, effective at long distances, but complicated for trench warfare and close-quarters combat. Although soldiers could fire more than 10 shots per minute to maintain a high volume of fire against the enemy, they rarely hit their targets, especially when attacking through no man's land, while artillery shells and machine guns destroyed entire regiments. Soldiers needed a new weapon to suppress the enemy, something lighter, shorter, and capable of automatic fire. In the United States, there was John Browning, creator of the .45 caliber Colt M 1911 pistol and the Browning automatic rifle BAR. Meanwhile, the German Empire had Hugo Schmeisser, developer of the world's first successful submachine gun, the MP-18. Schmeisser realized that 7.92mm rifles were inadequate for trench attacks, so he developed a compact automatic weapon that used 9mm pistol cartridges, prioritizing maneuverability and recoil over long-range precision and effectiveness. The Maskinen pistol MP-18 weighed 4 kilograms and had a drum magazine mounted on the side. Imagine yourself on the battlefield, surrounded by muddy trenches and the deafening noise of gunfire and explosions. The tension is in the air, and every movement must be precise. The soldiers, tired and covered in dirt, need a weapon that allows them to move quickly and fire efficiently. Suddenly, the distinctive sound of the MP-18 cuts through the air, providing new hope. Its rapid rate of fire and compact design allow soldiers to advance more safely, confronting the enemy more effectively. The war has changed, and with it, the way of fighting has too. The MP-18 quickly became the favorite among assault troops, known as Sturmtruppen, who were trained to take enemy trenches with overwhelming firepower. The success of the submachine gun paved the way for post-war projects aiming to develop a rifle with an intermediate cartridge, something between pistol and machine gun cartridges. In the last months of World War I, the idea of developing an intermediate cartridge for the German military emerged. Captain Piderit, a member of the Small Arms Testing Committee, Gewehrprüfungskommission, highlighted that an intermediate cartridge would save powder and brass, as well as allow troops to carry more ammunition. He also concluded that most shootings occurred at distances shorter than 600 meters, making the Gewehr cartridge a waste. Although the MP-18 was ideal for close combat, the captain sought a rifle that offered greater range and firepower, bridging the gap between the 9mm pistol cartridge and the 7.92mm cartridge used by machine guns and rifles. In 1923, the idea was revisited when the German army sought to replace the Gewehr 98 bolt-action rifle. The new model needed to have a range of at least 400 meters, or 440 yards, and a magazine capacity of 20 or 30 rounds, with a rate of fire exceeding 450 rounds per minute. Imagine yourself on the battlefield, the sun beginning to set, shadows lengthening over no man's land. The Sturmtruppen, armed with their MP-18s, prepare for the attack. Hearts racing, adrenaline pumping through their veins. They know that the key to victory lies in the combination of speed and firepower. Suddenly, the sound of gunfire and explosions fills the air, creating a scene of controlled chaos. The MP-18s lead the way, but the need for a rifle with greater range and capacity becomes evident. With the arrival of new weapons, equipped with intermediate cartridges, German soldiers find themselves better prepared to face the complexities of the modern battlefield. These weapons, born of innovation and lessons learned, promise to change the course of combat, offering a crucial advantage in the trenches and beyond. In 1934, the Heereswaffenamt, or Army Ordnance Department, began developing a mid-range cartridge with the necessary specifications. In 1938, the Wehrmacht signed a contract with C.G. Henel Waffenfabrik to create an automatic carbine that used the new 7.92 by 33 mm cartridge, serving both as a submachine gun and a squad automatic weapon, SAW. Once again, Hugo Schmeisser, the creator of the MP-18, presented an innovative design. Schmeisser designed the rifle with the barrel and stock aligned to reduce recoil, used a gas action that operated the piston and moved the bolt, opted for AV sight at the rear and a hooded sight at the front, and implemented a pistol grip for the trigger. The result was an entirely metal rifle, except for the stock. Accelerated testing began in 1939, as the Reich prepared to invade Poland. The latest version of this rifle would soon be put to the test. Imagine the growing tension as engineers worked against the clock, adjusting and testing each component of the new rifle. The urgency was palpable, as the shadow of war loomed closer. In 1939, with rumors of the imminent invasion of Poland, the testing of the new rifle intensified, and the troops anxiously awaited a weapon that could make a difference on the battlefield. When Germany invaded the Soviet Union in June 1941, the new rifle program was further accelerated. Production lines buzzed with activity, with engineers and workers laboring day and night to deliver a weapon that could withstand the brutality of combat on the Eastern Front. Amidst the chaos of war, soldiers equipped with the new rifles faced intense battles where every shot counted. The combination of high rate of fire and innovative design offered a crucial advantage, allowing German troops to maintain constant pressure on the enemy. The battlefield, marked by explosions and incessant gunfire, was the stage where the effectiveness of the new rifle would truly be tested. Despite the innovative blitzkrieg tactics, the German infantry still used bolt-action rifles, machine guns, and submachine guns, similar to the equipment of other European armies. When they encountered the Soviets, they realized the lack of mass-produced weapons, such as the semi-automatic SVT-40 rifle and the PPSH-41 submachine gun. German troops were taken aback by the high volume of fire from Red Army squads and began urgently requesting automatic weapons to balance the fight against the enemy. Although the MP-40 was an excellent submachine gun, it was limited to squad leaders, and there was no comparable design to the SVT-40. The need for an automatic rifle grew exponentially in 1942 when the United States entered the war. American soldiers were armed with automatic rifles like the BAR, the M1 Garand, and the M1A1 carbine. While the German army struggled to mass-produce an intermediate cartridge rifle, the FG-42, or Paratrooper Rifle 42, was introduced. Despite being specifically developed for the elite Fallschirmjägers paratroopers, the FG-42 paved the way for the Gür 43 or Karabiner 43, which allowed the German army to have a competitor against the SVT-40 on the Eastern Front. Imagine the battlefield, covered in snow and mud, with soldiers running and taking cover from incessant explosions. The tension in the air is palpable, the sound of gunfire echoing in the distance. German soldiers, feeling the pressure of being at a disadvantage, eagerly await the reinforcement of new weapons that could turn the tide. Engineers work frantically, day and night, to develop and produce the automatic rifles that could change the course of battles. Production lines teem with activity, each weapon meticulously assembled and tested. Finally, the new rifles begin to arrive at the front lines, and soldiers receive the long-awaited reinforcement. With the Gür 43 in hand, German soldiers gain new hope. Battles become even more intense, with the sound of the new weapons mingling with the chaos of combat. Adrenaline runs high, and every shot counts as soldiers advance, trying to gain ground and survive another day. The FG-42, more importantly, used the 7.92 by 33mm Kurz cartridge, being fully automatic, which allowed Hugo Schmeisser's new rifle design to be accepted by the Army under the designation MKB-42. Over 11,000 MKB-42s were tested in early 1943. The weapon proved reliable and accurate, with an effective range of up to 900 feet or 274 meters. In some units on the Eastern Front, prototypes developed by Walther and Henel were deployed in the battlefield, where they received praise for their performance. However, when the Führer learned of the MKB-42 program, he ordered all work on the weapon to be halted, fearing that a new rifle cartridge would overload the already saturated Army ammunition and logistics industry. To prevent the cancellation of the program, the Heereswaffen changed the designation MKB-42 to Maschinenpistole 43 or MP-43, in an attempt to make Hitler believe it was an updated version of the MP-40 SMG. Even so, the Führer soon discovered the deception and ordered the rifle to be seen in action to assess its suitability for combat operations. Imagine the tension behind the scenes as engineers and officers tried to keep the rifle project alive. The dark and silent corridors of the factories echoed with hurried footsteps, while confidential documents were passed from hand to hand. The fate of the project hung precariously, with each move carefully calculated to avoid the wrath of the Führer. In the testing grounds, soldiers nervously awaited as the rifle was prepared for demonstration. The distant sound of gunfire echoed, mingling with the anxiety in the air. Every gaze was a mix of hope and fear, as the fate of the rifle was about to be decided by the Reich's most powerful leader. In the heat of battle, when the need for a weapon capable of facing the challenges of close combat was more urgent than ever, an innovation emerged that would change the course of the war. The leader, impressed with the effectiveness and potential of the new weapon, suggested naming it Sturmgewehr, or assault rifle, ushering in an era of revolutionary armament. As the first units were delivered in late 1943, on the fronts of the Eastern Front, the impact was immediate. Although initially only prototypes, the STG-44 went into mass production in the early months of 1944, equipped with a standard 30-round magazine. Its ability to fire more than 540 rounds per minute, combined with a muzzle velocity of 685 meters per second and an effective range of 300 to 600 meters, made it a vital tool for German soldiers. With a 16-inch barrel, the STG-44 was versatile enough to engage the enemy at short, medium, and long distances, bridging the gap between submachine guns, rifles, and light machine guns. Its soldiers could switch between automatic fire, ensuring overwhelming firepower, and semi-automatic shots, for precision on specific targets, facing the forces of the Red Army equipped with Mosin-Nagant rifles. Despite its impressive firepower, the STG-44 maintained a compact design, weighing only 11 pounds with its curved magazine and measuring 37 inches in total length, including the barrel. These features made the rifle ideal for combat at intermediate ranges, providing soldiers with the mobility needed to face the challenges of the battlefield. In this turbulent and challenging context, the STG-44 emerged as an essential piece of the German arsenal, ushering in a new era of armament and military strategy. The battlefield simmered with the implementation of new tactics, driven by the versatility of the STG-44. Units equipped with these assault rifles became a force to be reckoned with, maximizing their automatic firing capability to suppress the enemy. In a deadly dance, soldiers advanced in synchrony, employing a lethal combination of suppressive fire and grenades to weaken and annihilate stubborn opponents. When the confrontation turned hand-to-hand, they did not hesitate, boldly throwing themselves alongside their squad leaders, armed with MP-40s or captured Soviet PPSHs. The effectiveness of the STG-44 was further enhanced by a variety of unique accessories, designed to extend its utility in different combat scenarios. Among these accessories, the Krummlauf stood out, a curved barrel equipped with a periscope, allowing soldiers to shoot at tight angles without exposing themselves to enemy fire. Available in various variants, the Krumlauf offered options for infantry and tank crews, with different degrees of curvature. However, its durability was a weak point, with limited lifespan cycles due to excessive strain on the barrel and cartridge. The smoother version, with a 30-degree angle, barely reached 300 shots before deteriorating. Despite these limitations, some STGs were equipped with telescopic sights, borrowed from rifles like the FG-42 and the GUR-43, providing deadly accuracy at distances that challenged the limits of human vision. In this relentless war scenario, every accessory, every technological advancement, represented a crucial advantage, a chance to survive and prevail against a determined enemy. One of the most intriguing accessories was the Vampir, also known as the Zielgerät 1229, a revolutionary infrared sight. Equipped with a telescope and a powerful infrared lamp, it allowed vision in the dark, revealing details that the human eye could not capture. With a range of over 200 meters, it was a valuable tool for night operations, but its limited battery life of only 15 minutes left soldiers at the mercy of time. To use the Vampir, a special device had to be attached to the rifle to prevent the muzzle flash from blinding the shooter. It was a race against the clock, with every minute counting when darkness was the enemy's most powerful ally. The legacy of the STG-44 was marked by its contribution to the effectiveness of German soldiers, but its mass production never reached sufficient levels to change the course of the war. However, its influence resonated beyond the battlefields, inspiring the victors of the conflict to explore new possibilities. An example of this was the emergence of the iconic Avtomat Kalashnikova, or AK-47, which debuted in 1949 within the ranks of the Red Army. Like its German predecessor, the AK also adopted an intermediate cartridge and shared principles of gas operation, paving the way for a new era of firearms. Hugo Schmeisser and his team found themselves in an unusual situation after the war. Captured by the Red Army, they were forced to collaborate with Kalashnikov. In a 2009 interview, when Kalashnikov turned 90, he did not hesitate to admit the influence they might have had on his iconic design. The M16, conceived by Eugene Stoner, also drew inspiration from the German STG. This widely recognized American rifle came to light in the 1960s as a direct response to the success of the Sturmgewehr. Interestingly, both the AK-47 and the M16 shared the Cold War stage with the STG-44. Meanwhile, thousands of captured STGs found new owners. The East German Army adopted them until the 1960s, when they were gradually replaced by the reliable AKs. Czechoslovakia and Yugoslavia also kept the STGs in service until the 1980s, demonstrating their durability and effectiveness. The impact of the Sturmgewehr extended to Vietnam, when, in 1945, French military forces brought it with them in their attempt to reclaim control of their former colony. A rifle that saw the world change around it, shaping the landscape of firearms for decades to come. Stories about the STG-44 spread like wildfire, echoing across decades and continents. As the war raged, French soldiers and members of the Foreign Legion held these rifles, ready to face any challenge. But the story didn't stop there. As time passed and conflicts evolved, the German assault rifles found new owners. The Vietnamese Communist forces, supplied by the Soviet Union, wielded the STGs, challenging American troops into the 1970s. And as battle trophies, some of these rifles ended up in the hands of American soldiers after each skirmish. Photos and videos from Vietnam turned the STG-44 into a legend. Its reliability, proven in battle, continued to resonate even 20 years after its introduction. But the journey of the Sturmgewehr didn't end there. From the battlefields of Indochina to modern war theaters like Iraq, Afghanistan, and beyond, the STG left its mark. Even in the hands of rebel forces in Algeria and Libya, the legacy of the Sturmgewehr persisted since the end of the Cold War. Today, the name STG-44 continues to echo, reverberating through the pages of military history. A symbol of innovation and power, this rifle left a legacy that shaped armed forces around the world. Stories about the STG-44 spread like wildfire, echoing through decades and across continents. As the war raged, French soldiers and members of the Foreign Legion held these rifles, ready to face any challenge. But the story didn't stop there. As time passed and conflicts evolved, the German assault rifles found new owners. The Vietnamese Communist forces, supplied by the Soviet Union, wielded the STGs, challenging American troops into the 1970s. And as battle trophies, some of these rifles ended up in the hands of American soldiers after each skirmish. Photos and videos from Vietnam turned the STG-44 into a legend. Its reliability, proven in battle, continued to resonate even 20 years after its introduction. But the journey of the Sturmgewehr didn't end there. From the battlefields of Indochina to modern war theaters like Iraq, Afghanistan, and beyond, the STG left its mark. Even in the hands of rebel forces in Algeria and Libya, the legacy of the Sturmgewehr persisted since the end of the Cold War. Today, the name STG-44 continues to echo, reverberating through the pages of military history. A symbol of innovation and power, this rifle left a legacy that shaped armed forces around the world. Its influence resonates to this day, inspiring and reminding us of the challenges and triumphs faced over time. Whether on the battlefields or in the hearts of those who wielded it, the legacy of the STG-44 lives on, immortalized as an icon of military history. Each shot fired echoes as a reminder of the battles fought and the lives impacted by its presence. So, I invite you to join us on this journey through history, innovation, and the courage of the soldiers who carried the Sturmgewehr. Leave your like and subscribe to the channel to ensure you don't miss any exciting content about the events that shaped our world. Together, let's explore the secrets behind the weapons that changed the course of history.